I'm going to start this video the way that I start all these videos, talking about music and bands and artists and albums and things like that. Talking about my history with the band. In this case, Rush. And before I talk about Moving Pictures, as you can see in the description, which is what I'm going to talk about, I'll talk about my history with Rush. I think often I end up talking about the bands more as a collectively than I do about the actual album. But anyway, so my history with Rush. I can't say that I ever disliked Rush, but I can definitely say that I hated Rush, couldn't stand Rush for a good part of my life. So getting, and I'll show you, I've got it here, it's so exciting. There it is, Moving Pictures. And so a little bit of my further to my history with Rush. Moving Pictures up until 3 weeks ago was the only Rush album that I ever bought in my life. It came out in 1981. I was 11 years old. I'd been getting into music for a few years at that point. I guess I was into Kiss for sure since 76. Black Sabbath, AC/DC. I think 81 was also when I discovered Van Halen. Ozzy, I got Diary of a Madman, I guess around 81. This was, it's not metal like some of those other groups, but at least it was hard rock. It was within my field, my spectrum, my wheelhouse is what it was within. And I guess I don't know, something I can't remember. I don't know if I had heard Rush. I probably had heard it before I bought the album. I for sure had heard Limelight. That was why I bought Moving Pictures. And I should apologize if I'm sniffing or if I have to clear my throat or cough. I have some I don't know if it's a cold or what it is, but I've had, I think it was because I was in Arizona last week and I was in air conditioning 100% of the time. And now I'm back in Mexico where there's no air conditioning ever. And I think that contrast causing me some sinus problems and throat problems. Either that or I have COVID. So I apologize in advance for any sniffles, nose clearing, throat clearing, or coughing. So I did listen to the radio a lot back then, so I would think I would have heard Rush. Maybe Spirit of Radio and Free Will, whatever was on the radio at that time. But I did hear Limelight, and I thought, I want to buy this album. And I do remember buying it. I remember the store that I bought it at. It was at a store in a place called Cedarbrae Mall in Scarborough in Toronto. I remember I bought Kiss Alive there, not Kiss Alive, Unmasked there. I bought quite a few albums and singles there too. And so I bought Moving Pictures there, and I guess it was 1981. It was their newest, it was their current album at the time. And I guess I liked it well enough. I don't think my opinion of it has changed too much over the years. I've listened to it a lot since I got the CD a few weeks ago. Now I should add, when I bought the record in 1981, when I made the switch to CDs in 1989, I rebought a lot of the records that I had. I said goodbye to records forever. And so I rebought a lot of the albums that I had on CD. I never did buy Moving Pictures on CD. So my history with Rush is one single album in 1981 until I got Moving Pictures recently. And I also got, I'll show these as props along with, I got these all at the same time. I also got, go in order. The first album from 1974, Rush, and then the next one was Fly By Night and Moving Pictures. I realize I'm missing a big gap from, I guess, Caress of Steel, 2112, Hemispheres. I'm not sure what order they're going. And I hate having gaps in my collection. My goal maybe is to buy them all up to Moving Pictures and then stop. So I thought Rush was okay at the time. I didn't like Moving Pictures as much as I liked Diary of a Madman, Back in Black, For Those About to Rock, Paranoid, any Kiss album, Fair Warning. I didn't like it anywhere near as much as those albums. But I guess I liked it well enough. Now, what started my hatred towards Rush was what was the album that came after Moving Pictures? It was I hated that era of Rush. 80s Rush was like 80s Black Sabbath or 90s Iron Maiden, or I don't know, just for me, totally unforgettable. Grace Under Pressure was next, or Power Windows, or the one with the dog and the fire hydrant. I think that was the next one. With I think that had Subdivision and Distant Early Warning, and whatever that was called. I think that was the next one after Moving Pictures. I couldn't stand that era of Rush. At this point, I was a full-on metalhead. I hated their sound. I hated all the synthesizers. I hated the way they looked. Geddy Lee had that funny haircut. He was playing that weird looking bass that was like a parallelogram shape, and it had no headstock. And I was 12, 13 years old. I cared about those things. I thought, this is visually an awful looking band, and I hated their style at the time. Hated Geddy Lee's vocals, which I kind of still do. And I'll mention something else. I played, I was in the car 2 or 3 weeks ago with Lilia. I don't think Lilia's ever heard a Rush song, because, I mean, here in Mexico, nobody really, you don't really hear Rush anywhere. They're not on people's radar. And I've never, I'm sure, played Rush. So we were in the car a couple weeks ago, and I said, I'm going to play a song for you, or a band for you that you're going to hate probably more than any other band that I've played for you. And we like a lot of the same music. She loves Kiss, Metallica, the Beatles, who else? Foo Fighters, I guess. She hates Motorhead, Venom, Slayer, all those are my Iron Maiden. She can't stand any of those. But I said, I'm going to play something that you're going to hate. And I didn't tell her why. I didn't tell her who it was. And I played By-Tor and the Snow Dog, which I'd never heard before until I got Fly By Night a few weeks ago. I know all the Rush songs. I just haven't heard them. The other one, I guess one of their more famous songs is, and I'm not sure even how you pronounce it, La Villa Strangiaro. I guess it's Italian or something. I know it's like their big opus piece. I've also never heard 2112, the album or the song with all the different parts. I've never heard that still. And I'd never heard By-Tor and the Snow Dog until a few weeks ago, but I was well aware of its place amongst Rush in their catalog. And I know it's a big song, I think, for Rush nerds. And I think that song is actually pretty good. I like it. It's got that old Rush style, which I do like more than, as I mentioned, the 80s era Rush. And I like By-Tor and the Snow Dog, but I thought that's a song that Lily's going to hate. So I said, I'm going to play a song or a band that you're gonna hate. And so I put it on the car, and within, I don't know, I think it was almost immediately, she said, this is the worst singer I've ever heard. And I think, hopefully even Rush fans, Rush nerds, Rush geeks, Rush tards, whatever you want to call them, I think even they're aware of Geddy Lee's reputation. I don't think anybody's probably ever said, I hate Rush's music, but I love the singer. No, nobody has ever said that, I don't think. I think a lot of people like me, and a lot of people say, I like the music, but the singer sucks. And my opinion hasn't changed that much. I can accept it more, and it depends. There are some Rush songs that I really like his vocals, but anyway. And also because I'm Canadian, I think I didn't like, and I could say this the same thing about the Tragically Hip, I didn't like that music was being forced on me. Rush was constantly on the radio, and I just felt for me that it was too much. Looking back at it now, I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, Rush, it was just too much for me. So now the reason I got these CDs and this shirt is I have been on a little bit of a Rush kick lately. Now the reason for that, as I go to more props, is this giant, very, very thick, heavy, I can barely hold it up because I'm in a weakened state because of my cold or my COVID. And you can see it's, I don't know, maybe 500 pages, and it's called Wandering the Face of the Earth. And I got this, I was back in Canada for Christmas in 2019 and came back a few days into January. And it's hard to get books here in Mexico, and especially English books. And if you can find them, they're really, really expensive. So I saw this when I was in Canada, and I thought, even though I'm not a Rush fan, I just like reading these kinds of books. It's similar to the Kiss Alive Forever book, which I have down there, along with Pearl Jam and a Metallica book and a Prince book. That it chronicles their whole, did I show this, Wandering the Face of the Earth? That it chronicles their, I guess, as accurately or as comprehensively as you can. It chronicles their history, but especially their touring history. So far, I'm on page 102. I'm up to this part. All the World's a Stage tour, and and I've been going through it. It seems like a good bathroom book that you would sit on the toilet and just read when you're doing your business on the toilet. But I've actually sat down and read it. Now, the reason it's taken me so long to read this was because it's so big and heavy. I almost exclusively read in bed at night when I go to bed. And it's impossible to read this book in bed because it's just so big and heavy. So I guess it was about a few weeks ago, I started reading it out on my balcony. And it's a good book to just go sit out there and read for half an hour, 45 minutes. It gets a little bit redundant because it's a lot of the same thing. But when I saw this book in Canada, going back to that, and it was just, I think for one, it was too expensive and also really, really heavy to bring that back on a plane. And they have restrictions about weights and things like that. I thought, no, I just can't buy it. I think I bought 13 books on that trip. And then maybe a week after I got back, my friend Kevin Montavon, who I always find a way to mention in these videos that I do, because I told him, I said, I took a video of it or a picture. I said, hey, I'm at the bookstore in Canada, look at this book. Obviously, he knew about it. He is one of the aforementioned Rush. Kevin, would you consider yourself a Rush geek? Rush nerd, Rush tarda? I think he is. So he posted something about it. I said, maybe I should try Amazon. I checked on Amazon. I think Kevin said that he bought it on Amazon. And it was like $30. It was like $70 in Canada. And shipping was free. So maybe even less. It might have been like $26 or something. So I thought, that's a great price, free shipping, so I'm going to get it. So I got that Rush book, and that kind of maybe stoked the fires a little bit. And then I was at El Chopo in Mexico maybe about a month and a half ago. And I got this shirt. And maybe I'm a poser because maybe I shouldn't be wearing a shirt by a band who I've only ever bought one album from. And it wasn't, this is a Fly By Night shirt, obviously. It wasn't the Fly By Night album that I bought. It was Moving Pictures. So maybe I'm a little bit of a poser for buying this shirt. But again, one thing leads to another. And that led me to buying these Rush CDs. And I also saw that I guess it was also a few weeks, so the 40th anniversary edition of Moving Pictures came out, which I don't care about the 40th anniversary edition. It's got two bonus discs of their concert in Toronto from the tour from 1981. And I've even been watching a couple of Rush podcasts. Amazing how I've come full circle on Rush. And Led Zeppelin was like that too. I used to just loathe Led Zeppelin, despise Led Zeppelin. And I kind of came around. AC/DC, I loved them, then hated them, then went back to loving them. And so all of these things combined, I thought, I'm going to buy Moving Pictures because I really like that. And I have no reason to buy it. I can download it easily. So there's my, can I say anything else about Rush? I think that's all. So, and it is my favorite Rush album. I guess I've only ever heard these three that I have. Those are the only ones I've ever heard in full. I've heard songs off all of their other albums, but Signals was the name of the album with the dog and the fire hydrant, which I think was the one after Moving Pictures, or it was Grace Under Pressure and then Signals, or I'm not sure. Correct me, or I can look it up myself when I finish this video. So it is my favorite Rush album, and I'm going to talk about it now. So here it is again, Rush. And my friend Jason Satterfield can understand what this is about. It came just in a shitty packaging. I think it came just an envelope with no padding in it, no cardboard, and it's cracked. And it's I mean, it doesn't matter, but it kind of does matter. It doesn't, I mean, the CD is fine. And actually, no, you know what? It's missing, I don't know if the camera can pick it up. It's missing several teeth on the tray. So the CD, see, it doesn't fit in there properly. Jason Satterfield would have a coronary if this ever happened to him. So this was called, and all the three I have were part of the Rush remasters. I'm not sure when these came out, but to me they sound good. And actually I downloaded the 40th anniversary of it, and this one, I thought this one sounded better. So this is the one that I keep on my phone. I never actually listened to the CD. It's been years since I've taken a CD and put it in my stereo, which is over here. So this one. So I'll talk about Moving Pictures now. As I said, I talk more about the band than the record that I'm talking about. It starts with Tom Sawyer. Rush nerds are going to hate this. Tom Sawyer is probably my favorite Rush album in their whole catalog. And I do know a lot of Rush songs, just not albums. And I'm pretty sure that for me, there's nothing better than Tom Sawyer. I know there's also nothing less cool than liking, arguably, their most famous song. I'm not sure if it's considered their signature song, but it's a huge hit. And it's probably my favorite. Man, I love Tom Sawyer. That opening, the keyboard, the synthesizer, and the drums coming in. It drones, and amazing song. Tom Sawyer, modern day warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride. Those mind is not for rent. Don't Put Him Down as Arrogant, His Reserve of Quiet Defense, Riding Out the Day's Events, The River. Killer song. I wish every song was, I liked every song as much as Tom Sawyer. The next one, Red Barchetta, that could be my second favorite Rush song. If I talked about the other Rush songs that I really love, I really, really love, and this was one I only heard in somewhat recent years, was Working Man. Killer song. That sounds like Black Sabbath. That's the Rush I would like to hear. And also in more recent times, since I've been going back and rediscovering Rush, man, did I ever miss out on how great The Spirit of Radio is. I listened to that song in the last month or so. I feel like I listen to it every day. It's probably not that much, and I really, really enjoy it. I couldn't stand when that used to come on the radio. That was a dial turner for me, almost any Rush song. But Red Barchetta could also be my second or third favorite Rush song. I guess my second favorite on this album. And I had no idea what a barchetta was this came out. Remember, when I was 11 years old, I had no idea what the hell a barchetta was. I don't know when it was, years later, that I discovered it was a car. And it sounds made up. I'm not sure if a barchetta is actually a car. I've never seen or heard anybody mention, hey, there's a barchetta, or I drive a barchetta. I don't think anybody said that. I think Neil Peart, whatever you call him, made that up. Red Barchetta, give me a break. But killer song. My uncle has a country place that no one knows about. He says it used to be a farm before the motor law. Now on Sunday I elude the eyes and hop the turbine freight to far outside the wire where my white-haired uncle waits. If I know Rush lyrics, it's because I really like that song. And especially in Red Barchetta, where it picks up a little bit in dun 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 wind. I'm not going to sing it. Wind in my hair, shifting and drifting. Just amazing. So those two, amazing. Those. Now, the album for me kind of starts to go down a little bit here. There were only 7 songs on this album. And now remember, I had the record, so it had side 1, which ended with Limelight, and then side 2. I was really into side 1. Couldn't have cared less about side 2, and I'll get to that as I continue. So YYZ was next, an instrumental, and I also think at that time, even though I lived in Toronto, I think I didn't know what YYZ was. I just think I remember wondering what it was. It's the airport code for Toronto, obviously, but I didn't know that at the time. I was 11 years old. I'd never been on a plane before, or probably never been to an airport, and it's not the kind of thing that you know when you're 11 years old. But instrumental, good instrumental. And there's a great band in Mexico that I love called Black Overdrive. And I've seen them live 8 or 9 or 10 times. And the last time I saw them, which was just before the pandemic, I think it was around January or February 2020, just before the pandemic started, they released their, at that time, their new album called, oh my God, it's a great album. What's it called? All Evil. And it was like they were doing a show and they played, I think, almost the whole album, All Evil, and they played YYZ, which I thought was great. So there we go. As far as instrumentals go, I've said before, instrumentals are generally not my favorite, but YYZ is pretty good. My favorite instrumental ever, what is it? I'm pretty sure it's Scorpions, Coast to Coast, and I really like Iron Maiden, Lost for Words too. YYZ, it's not one of my favorites, but I do like it. Limelight is next. That was the song I think I mentioned earlier. I heard Limelight on the radio at the time, and I loved it, and that was why I bought Moving Pictures, and I love that guitar riff of Limelight. That was a great song. Now, when it was a record and you flip it over to side 2, it started with The Camera Eye. Now, The Camera Eye, I'm looking at it now, is 10 minutes and 58 seconds. When you're an 11-year-old kid, you don't care about, I think a lot of people don't care about, I didn't have the attention span to listen to an 11-minute and 10-minute and 58-second song that kind of meanders, and it's kind of it's got different parts to it. I just never ever liked that song. Had no interest in The Camera Eye. And still, as I said, I've listened to this album probably 3 or 4 times in the last couple weeks, from beginning to end. And Camera Eye, I still don't get it. I guess Rush fans, I would think it's one of their favorites. Anyway, and I should say that they're as much as I dislike Geddy Lee's voice, probably, and for whatever this is worth, collectively, Geddy Lee, Neil Peart, and Alex Lifeson are probably would it be a stretch to say they're as individuals and collectively the most talented band ever. Like who is they're all, I think Neil Peart is widely considered to be the best drummer in rock ever. Maybe John Bonham. Not my personal opinion, not my personal favorite, but by people who consider, you know, how good they are. Again, for whatever that's worth. Geddy Lee is probably also considered, I guess by a lot, to be one of the best bassists in rock. And at the same time, at least live, he was playing the keyboards, the synths with his feet, which is just incredible. And Alex Lifeson, I remember when I was a kid, people used to talk about what a god Alex Lifeson was, and I was into Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen and Tony Iommi. I thought Alex Lifeson sucks compared to those guys. But now that I listen to their older stuff, I think Alex Lifeson is a great guitarist. The guitars were not as prominent, let's say after or maybe around this time of Moving Pictures, but very, very good. Next is Witch Hunt. That was another one like Camera Eye. Now that one's shorter. That's 444. But it was another one that I just never got into. That is one that, as I said, I've listened to recently, that I am getting into that more. That's a pretty good song. Now the last one is Vital Signs, which when I got the album and I looked at the track list, I thought, I don't even remember the song title. I remember the song titles of The Camera Eye and Witch Hunt, but I couldn't remember how they go. If you had played them for me, I would never be able to identify. But I think Vital Signs, I didn't even, when I saw the tracks, I thought, Vital Signs. They have a song on this album called Vital Signs. And when I listened to it for the first time a few weeks ago, I remembered it immediately. I probably hadn't heard that song since the mid-'80s, maybe, I don't know, somewhere around there. And I really like that song. Maybe I didn't like it at the time when I heard it. I thought, this is a killer song. This is one that I definitely have to revisit and spend more time with. Vital Signs. That's it's got a little cool reggae thing, similar to Spirit of Radio, has a little reggae in it. And it's, what is it? Everybody need a shapeshifter. Everybody need a move lifter. Everybody need reverse polarity. I had no idea almost that song existed until I heard it again a few weeks ago. And now I really like it. So for me, Moving Pictures, it's not one of my favorite albums ever, not even close. But I do like it. Obviously, I like it enough that I bought it in 1981, and I bought it again now in 2022. But it's not one of my favorites. But at least Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, Limelight, Vital Signs, 4 killer songs. I guess a lot of people would say The Camera Eye is one of their favorites, because a lot of people like the longer songs, and I do like, or I appreciate longer songs. Now, maybe the one that I consider my favorite song ever, when you talk about all music ever recorded in the history of music, the one that I go to as my single favorite, which is impossible, is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Iron Maiden, which is 13 minutes and 35 seconds, I think. So to me, as long as it's good, I like it. But when I was 11 years old, that was not something I was interested in, especially with Rush. It had a lot of different parts. So that's it. So my next mission is to, just because I'm obsessive or obsessive compulsive, I don't know what they call it. I feel like I need to fill in that gap between Fly By Night, their second album, and Moving Pictures, which I think was their 6th or 7th, which is Caress of Steel, 21 Twelve, Hemispheres, and maybe 1 or 2 others. I can't remember. So that will be next, but they're very expensive. CDs are very expensive in Mexico, and whether they're from Amazon in the States or Amazon Mexico, or sometimes you just can't find them in Mexico, they are very expensive and very hard to find. But maybe if my obsession continues, I will end up with all these Rush albums. So there you go, Rush, Moving Pictures.